book of Ecclesiastes, before the time of Christ, we heard that there is nothing new under the sun, that everything that has happened or that is happening has happened before. You have slavery, you have thefts, you have frauds, corrupt public officials. It's been around. The first murder took place within the opening paragraphs of Genesis. There's nothing new under the sun. I want to suggest that there is nothing new under the sun, that we're used to all of the problems that we're dealing with today, except for these. These allow all of the things that we have ever done to occur at the speed of light. I can move money from Manila to Madrid, to Miami, to Moscow, to Milan, while I'm sitting in a Starbucks or a Figaro at the touch of a few buttons. That's huge. And I think that's something that we need to get our minds around as things move on. Technology facilitates our ability to empower, as we've heard Keith eloquently talk about. Cesar Peresima also mentioned this, and Justo did a great job of showing how an institution in an industry that within the Philippine context is not exactly known as cutting edge, bringing a whole different definition to the word conservative, as in stodgy and not really looking forward. The industry in the Philippines epitomizes all that's negative about being conservative. Union Bank, I'm really pleased to hear, is not fitting into that at all. I want to suggest that this slide affects both good and bad acts. It empowers people to commit frauds. It empowers people to steal. It empowers people to do terrible things much more effectively and efficiently than they've ever been able to do in the past. In the old days, they had to confront you face to face to be able to rob you. Now they don't even have to be in the same country or in the same region to be able to rob you literally blind. On the plus side, it empowers us to do things. Keith talked about moving money from place to place, province to province, the NCR to the farthest flung province, Batanes or Basilan, with the punch of a few buttons. To send money back home as Nye needs an operation or Ty needs some kind of other help. It also allows us, as we're working in Lyon or Milan, to send money directly to our son's school instead of to a family member who then takes it out and parties with it while tuition goes unpaid. One of the things about accomplishing more effectively and efficiently, Thomson Reuters, in an article that I read just this morning, says that 64% of businesses expect to improve due to FinTech and its allied partner, RegTech. Back up there. There we go. Also, before the time of Christ, a Chinese philosopher general named Sun Tzu talked about knowing your enemy and knowing yourself. If you know yourself and know your enemy, the outcome of 100 battles is guaranteed success for you. What I want to suggest is that right now we're in a state of flux. Meaning things are changing. We don't know our enemy very well. And even more sadly, we don't know ourselves. Husto noted that we must change the way we think. And I was excited to hear him say that, because for a large bank in the Philippine context to pioneer a new way of thinking, I got to say, I was flabbergasted. But know your enemy. I don't want to put customers or clients into the category of enemy. I actually put them in our side. Know yourself. I don't think we know them very well either. But we especially don't know our enemy. Why do they attack us? Oh, Steve, that's easy. It's for the money. Big money. I don't know. When do they attack us? How do they attack us? Where do they attack us? And I really liked what Keith said, where technology is critical, but it's not the end. Because I think we have approached security too much from a technical perspective. Willie Sutton was an American bank robber in the late 1940s, early 1950s, was the third man to be put on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. And the quote that's often attributed to Willie Sutton, which is when a reporter asked him, well, why did you rob banks? And he said, because that's where the money is the figment of that reporter's imagination. But he did, and it's verified, he did say this. And I think it is something that we in the security field don't often take into account. It isn't just about the money. It's about the challenge. It's about the fun of taking on the best minds in security, whether it's the FBI, my former colleagues, the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, or you, those of us in this room, who we sit back and we have our polo shirts on and our nice shoes, and we sit in our offices, and there's out there somewhere, someplace, maybe not even, likely not even in the Philippines, trying to figure out how to beat us. OMG talaga, the entire world is against us. Well, that's certainly the way it seems, and that's the reason why when Richard and Rebecca and Keith came up with the idea for this Asia CEO Forum, I was really excited. The ability to speak to people of like minds who sit together inside these four walls, get to know each other, because this is a friendly crowd. People who know what it's like to be attacked. Your market, Keith mentioned this, the young people will be driving our market. This fits well in the Philippine context, since the demographic window for the Philippines just opened. If you don't know what a demographic window is, you can look it up, but basically it means that the majority of our population is now of working age or will be coming into the working group for the next 50 years. The United States, our window is already closed. Europe, our window is already closed. Japan, closed. China, closed. They're already starting to get old. Now, they have 1 billion people, so they've got a lot of young that's coming up. But the Philippines, our window just opened. That gives us a tremendous market. How are we going to take advantage of that? But notice the joy in Willie Sutton's comments. That's what we're facing. The bad guys taking their technical knowledge and kind of Manny Pacquiao against the world. He doesn't do it because he enjoys getting hit. He doesn't do it for the money. If it was for the money only, he would have quit. It's for the joy. It's for that feeling of being the best, of beating the best. And you are the best. You're trying to make our products secure and give a great experience to our clients and our guests, our customers. Rebecca mentioned earlier about making the Philippines a first world nation. Very doable. And I will suggest to you that it is through FinTech and its allied partner, RegTech, the regulations technology. How do we know your customer better? We've got some folks in this room that do KYC, the Know Your Customer. How do we incorporate that into our products? Well, Justo actually mentioned this a few minutes ago. Speed to market is critical in building your market share and domination. But how do you do that safely and securely? That's where the people at your tables, the people that you will see as you have coffee, the people that you will meet over lunch, the people at the other tables. I hope that you brought a stack of cards. Make sure that you get out and you meet people, and before 5 o'clock, Cutler's Rule of Fives will kick in. Cutler's Rule of Fives is that before 5 o'clock, get to know at least 5 new people, exchange cards with them, chat a little bit so that they remember you. And then within 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, recontact them. So I saw this article in the paper today. How is that going to affect what you do? How should that affect my business? You don't have to take them out, to the top of the city or to the Tower Club for lunch. If you want to do that, I'm available. I have a stack of cards. It's just a short walk from my office. But get to know each other and then stay in touch and exchange ideas. Feed off of each other. It is about the technology, but it goes far beyond the technology. It's the people. And Keith brought that out really, really well. Because here's the problem, that speed to market, just like in a world-class relay race, I'm running as fast as I can because I hear the pounding of my opposition right behind me. And as I hand off the baton to my teammate, he drops it. I worked hard to get there. And somehow in the handoff, we dropped the baton. So we've just lost the race. We're now second to market. I think it was Richard that mentioned earlier today about, or it might have been Keith, but how ASEAN is catching up to the rest of the world when it comes to FinTech. I actually kind of like that idea, because that means that the bleeding edge of technology has already been taken care of and bandaged. We're now able to take proven concepts, hone them, and sharpen them, and become the cutting edge of technology, not the bleeding edge of technology. In your development of products and in your development and marketing of those products, emphasize three things, especially in light of the Data Privacy Act and the European GDPR, the General Data Privacy Restrictions or Regulations, which, by the way, the Philippines is a world-class data privacy law, actually patterned very closely after the GDPR in Europe, and better than, I consider it better than the mishmash that we have in the United States. Here's one thing that you need to keep in mind about the Philippine Data Privacy Act that's different than the Europeans. Jail time. You can go to jail in the Philippines for violating the Data Privacy Act. And this is at the board of directors level and at the C-suite level. We're not going to be able to have some little op dev guy is non-gender specific, take the fall. It must be addressed at the board and the C-suite, and shown to be aggressively and very forward-leaning. It is serious. They make a big deal out of the Europeans having tremendous fines, but Europeans won't go to jail. We will in the Philippines. I have visited in my capacity pre-retirement, as if I was retired, Philippine jails, and that's not where I want to go. Confidentiality. Maya Angelou's comment, quoted by Keith, was really good about how do you make people feel about your products and your company and your client service. Do they feel like they can trust you, that you have integrity? I will suggest to you, especially in the financial arena, in the Philippine context, it is a zero trust environment. And I find that sad. But the big banks and other financial companies, entities, including the government, have shown such a disdain for integrity that we have a zero trust environment. Integrity is like last on the list for most of us. If you're upset with what I just said, then take it not as irritations, but as a challenge. Raise the bar. And actually, I will suggest that if you and your company raise the bar on these 3 points, you'll be a market leader, because your competition isn't doing these things. The customers don't have a good feeling about confidentiality. When Comelec allows, do you understand the seriousness of the Comelec breach? I have no idea why they wanted to know my mother's maiden name. Why does that affect my voting and my ability to vote. But it does affect people's ability to get into my and pretend they're me on my bank accounts, because banks ask the same questions Kamalek asked. And now my information is out there in the wild, being bought and sold. And we have a tremendous obligation to turn that around, to ask only the information that we need, absolutely require for transactions, and keep the rest of it off our books, not even ask it. And when we don't need that stuff anymore for KYC, the Know Your Customer, get rid of it. If I don't have it, I can't lose it. And to be seen at that your information is confidential. Why wasn't the information encrypted? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. Maybe they were drunk. I don't know. But it should have been encrypted. And the keys to what little encryption they did use were kept right with the encryption, according to what we see in the media. The availability. When websites go down, when I can't do banking, I lose trust. Learn, monitor, improve your speed of thought. I want to emphasize again, we impact people's lives. You ought to get a t-shirt that says that and wear it to the office every day, or put it up on a big poster, especially where the employees gather, because that is an important underlying factor. The Zappos story was a great story. We impact people's lives. I suggest that our ability to think quickly, to adapt rapidly, actually I don't need a show of hands, I'm just going to ask a rhetorical question. How many of you play chess? Don't need to see your hands, just a rhetorical question. Usually there's like maybe one at each table who will admit to playing chess. I'm going to suggest to you that a good way of training yourself to think faster is what I call speed chess. 15 minutes a day, 30 seconds per move. Maybe even do it as a staff exercise. Call it a team building exercise. 15 minutes a day, step away from the phone, step away from the desk, gather around a TV tray or whatever, put up a chessboard, set it up, 15 minutes, 30 seconds per move, go. Ding, 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 ding. Next move, 30 seconds. If you didn't move in 30 seconds, it's my move again. But what it trains you to do is to assess what's going on in that 64 squares rapidly, see what's going on, and move. React to what the other side is doing. 30 seconds. Next move. Next move. Next move. 15 minutes, we call it and then we kind of tally up to see who came out top. But it doesn't really matter who won. What matters is your ability to develop your thinking, your decision making, what's called the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act. These 3 points, confidentiality, availability, and integrity, if you're serious, and you are seen to be serious, that should be part of your marketing. Your data is safe with us. I have a shirt that has my company logo on it, company name. I manage distrust. Because I know people don't trust financial entities, financial organizations. It isn't that they just lack trust, they distrust us. 80% of the people in the Philippines don't even have bank accounts? Why? Ooh, they're out in the provinces. No, it's because they don't trust us. That's the reason. Don't kid yourself. They don't think that we have their interest at heart. We must show them otherwise. We have an opportunity. Here's the beautiful thing. Have you looked at your smartphone? See if I can get this brought up real quick. Nope, I turned my phone off. But if you take a look at your smartphone, you see it isn't text, it's icons. We don't even have to have a literate user. He or she just has to see the pictures. And they can do banking with us. They can do financial transactions if they trust us. If they believe our assertions that confidentiality, availability, and integrity are at the top of our minds. It isn't about us. It's about them and their ability to live their lives. Always, always remember that. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you this morning.
Thanks.